Hey guys, listen to this voicemail, would you?
Hey Jim, Slate truck, $20,000, no AC, barely any range. I can't believe people are still falling for that thing. It's vaporware. Ain't never gonna happen. Total scam.
That's crazy, Bubba. And yeah, I've heard all of that before. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk through every single one of those concerns with real numbers, real research, and what I actually found out when I spent the better part of a year digging into this thing. Because here's what I'll tell you straight up front. Almost everything being said about the Slate truck is wrong. And I have a confession to make at the end of this video that explains exactly how I know that. Hey everyone, Jim here from Jim's EV Adventures. I want to be upfront about something before we start. This isn't a standard explainer video. I've been sitting on this research for a long time, running the numbers, comparing the options, saving configurations, and quietly wrestling with a real decision. Because when a brand new EV truck shows up at a price point this market has never seen before, and the entire internet immediately tells you it's a fraud, well, I had to find out for myself. So today, we're busting the bunk about 4 myths on the Slate truck, one by one, with actual data. And at the end, I'll tell you exactly where I landed in this argument. Let's start with the one that has made the most people angry. Bunk pile number 1. The $20,000 number. The moment Slate announced this truck, the internet landed on that one number, $20,000. And when people found out the actual price was different from that, the reaction was immediate. Bait and switch, they said. They lied. That's not what they promised. And the complaints went on and on and on. I saw it in the comments. I saw it in the forums. I saw it from people who had already put down a reservation. Well, here's the truth. Slate never said the price would be $20,000. Not once, not anywhere. What actually happened is this. Analysts and tech writers looked at the truck, saw the original announcement that said it would be about $20,000 for many buyers with the tax incentive, and landed on that number and stuck with it for well over a year. Now, that's reasonable math, but that's not how incentives work. But it's not what Slate ever said. It was pure speculation. And that became the headline. And the headline became a promise that nobody made. Here's the actual number that matters, the number that they announced. $24,950. Not the cheapest EV truck, the cheapest truck, gas or electric. A base Ford Maverick hybrid starts near that number before you add anything real. A base Tacoma is $32,000. A base Colorado is $30,000. The cheapest Ram 1500 rolls out at $36,000 before any fees. The Slate didn't need the tax credit to become the most affordable new truck in America. It just already is. And in states with their own EV incentives, California, Colorado, Connecticut, eligible buyers can absolutely bring that price in lower. But at full sticker, the math stands completely on its own. Nobody lied. The internet just ran ahead of the facts. And I'll admit, I went back and verified this myself more times than I want to tell you, because I needed to be sure before I made a certain decision. Now, bunk pile number 2. The range is a deal breaker. This is the one that I hear the most often. 205 miles? You can't actually use that for truck things. What about towing? What about road trips? What about winter? I, of all people, understand where this comes from. I have 180,000 plus real-world EV miles under my belt. I know what range anxiety is supposed to feel like. I have lived it, sort of. But here's the truth. Slate is offering one battery configuration right now. 205 miles is their current estimate. and it has not gone through full EPA testing yet. Here's my honest take, based on how LFP batteries tend to perform in real-world conditions and based on what I've seen across the industry. I think the real number is probably going to be higher. I won't put a specific figure on that. I think around 220, somewhere in that neighborhood, but I would not be surprised if real-world Slate owners are consistently seeing above that 205-mile estimate. LFP chemistry tends to be conservative. But let's take 205 miles at face value and ask more important questions. What do truck owners actually use their trucks for? Not what they imagine they might need, what they actually do. The U.S. Department of Transportation data shows the average American drives only 37 miles per day. Even on a heavy day, errands, hauling, school runs, grocery trips, most truck owners never approach 100 miles of daily use. The I need 400 miles of range conversation almost always comes from a hypothetical road trip or a once-a-year towing scenario. And for those situations, you plan. You use the network. Slate also offers a single battery pack right now as a deliberate business decision to keep manufacturing focused, keep the price anchored, and let the product prove itself. They're not hiding a bigger battery behind a paywall. They're being disciplined about this. The people saying 205 miles isn't a real truck are applying a gasoline world standard to an electric vehicle. The real question is never, can I drive across the country on Tuesday? That's not the real question. The real question is, does this cover your actual life? And for most truck buyers, the ones who use this as a daily driver, the answer is a resounding yes. No AC, no screen, it's a ripoff. Now, this one shows up constantly everywhere. No air conditioning standard, crank windows, no infotainment screen. You're paying $25,000 for nothing. And I understand the instinct. We've been trained, especially by the EV industry, to expect base models to be packed with technology you didn't ask for and bundled into packages you can't opt out of. But here's the truth. Slate isn't hiding any features. They're starting with a foundation and letting you decide what goes on top. Think about it this way. If you've ever bought a flat pack furniture, you pick exactly the pieces you need, you build what works for your space, and you don't pay for finishes that you didn't choose or sizes that you'll never use. That's the Slate philosophy applied to a truck. AC is standard. Heated seats might be available. There could be a sound bar. In fact, there will be one. Upgraded wheels, steering wheel controls on some. Over 100 wraps and colors are option. A la carte. None of it mandatory. You control the final price because you choose the final list. The body is polypropylene. That means no rust, no paint chips, no dent anxiety. You can wrap it, change the color, refresh the look years from now without a body shop appointment. And the SUV conversion kit turns it into a 5-seat family hauler with either a square back, a fastback, or an open-air roof configuration. That's not bare bones, that's design flexibility. And I look forward to when somebody develops a soft top for that open-air roof configuration. That's going to happen, and you know it is. What you're actually getting out of this is a decades-long habit of the manufacturer deciding what you need and charging you for it whether you use it or not. That's the whole idea. And once you see it that way, it stops looking like a ripoff and starts looking like the only honest pricing model in the truck market today. And here's the vaporware question. Okay, I want to be fair here. This is the most legitimate concern of the actual four. We've all watched EV startups announce something remarkable and then quietly disappear. Canoe. Some raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Some had beautiful renders and compelling founders, and everything looked right. And then nothing shipped, and they quietly went out of business and took your money with them. It's a fair thing to ask, will they be around? Well, here's the truth. Slate has raised $1.4 billion in total funding, including a $650 million Series C round earlier this year. They're not running on pitch decks and optimism. No, they're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a real manufacturing facility in Warsaw, Indiana, retooling an existing industrial plant for serious production volume. Not a small contract run for a few hundred units, like another startup is doing. Actual scale, targeting tens of thousands of vehicles starting next year. With over 100,000 reservations that have been placed, first deliveries are targeted for late this year. Compare that to EV startups that raised $200 to $400 million and delivered hundreds of vehicles before running into trouble. We won't mention that one, but we all know that it has a round emblem, and it's the second iteration of that company. Slate is in a different category. Is there still a risk? Yes, absolutely. No reservation is a guarantee, and until a VIN is assigned and a truck is sitting in a driveway, it's still a plan. But the funding is real, the factory is real, and the timeline is credible. They didn't just announce last year. They said they'd been around for 3 years before that. So we're now in the 4th year of this company, moving into the 5th. This is not vaporware. They have over 100 trucks on the road doing testing right now. And this, right here, was the part I researched the most carefully because it was the part that mattered most to me personally. And let me show you why. I want to show you something. Let's look at the screen here. I've been inside the Slate Configurator more times than I care to admit. I've saved 3 different bills, a full wrap version, clean, bold, and completely wrapped in color, a top wrap with steel wheels, more understated with a classic work truck feel, and then another top wrap with upgraded wheels, same clean treatment, but with better rolling stock. It looks a little better. And I keep coming back to these, adjusting things, running the numbers again, and comparing. I've been making a very quiet decision about this truck for a very, very long time. Now let me show you exactly what I have decided based on my research. On May 19th, 2025, I placed a reservation. And then on July 1st, 2026, I converted that reservation into a full pre-order. My current delivery window is in the April to June of 2027 timeframe. So yes, I ordered one. Now I want to be completely honest with you. Until I send the final payment and I have the VIN in hand, this is still a dream, but it is a very real dream. And every myth we walk through today, I wrestled with every single one of those before I made that call, especially the 4th one. The price, I've verified it myself multiple times. The range, I modeled my actual drive against it. And the startup risk, I went through their funding history very carefully, especially in light of what happened with Canoe. This was not impulse, it was research. And that's the only reason I can sit here today and tell you that all 4 of those myths are wrong, because I have skin in the game. Now the obvious question. Jim, why not a Rivian? Why not a Cybertruck? Why not a GMC or a Chevy EV truck? I looked at all of them. Seriously, I did. The Rivian R1T is a phenomenal truck, but it starts around $70,000 and goes well past $100,000 when you spec it out for real use. That's $45,000 to $75,000 more than the Slate before destination or options. Tesla Cybertruck, the more accessible versions, are $70,000, and the price goes up from there. The Chevy Silverado EV, the GMC Sierra EV, the Hummer EV, same territory, easily $70,000 to $100,000 for a practical configuration. Tello trucks, now there's an interesting concept, but their base price is more than $20,000 above the Slate, and they don't have anywhere near the manufacturing infrastructure to scale yet. Now, I have put 180,000 real-world miles on EVs. I know what I actually do with a vehicle. Daily driving, beach runs, occasional hauling, content creation, most importantly. I don't need an $80,000 truck for any of that. And I'm not willing to pay a massive premium for features that I'll use 2 times a year. Maybe. The Slate truck at $24,950 is the most affordable new truck in America, gas or electric, period. End of sentence. The range covers the real-world driving of the vast majority of truck owners, and I believe the real number will be higher than the current estimate. The modular build-what-you-want design puts you in control of the final price and the final product. And here's the most important thing. The $1.4 billion in funding and the Indiana factory make this credible in a way that most EV startups simply are not. Again, I'll say canoe. Every concern that's been floating around the internet about this truck, blasted. Bunk blasted. Gone. That's the whole reason I make these videos. Going forward, I want to take you through the entire final configuration process. Every decision, every accessory, every dollar in real time as it happens. And when the truck pulls into my driveway, we'll do the full delivery and first drive experience together, just like we did with the Bolt and the Ioniq 5. This is a real-world, long-term project, and you're going to come along for all of it. Okay, go ahead and drop a comment below. Which of these 4 myths did you believe before watching this video? I want to know. And if you're thinking about a reservation yourself, I'll have a link in the description. If this helped clear up things, even one of those misconceptions, hit subscribe and ring the bell, because the more people who find real EV information instead of internet noise, the better off all of us are. Drive safe, charge smart, be happy, treat others with kindness, and I'll see you out there or somewhere along the route from point A to point B. Take it easy, everybody. See you all real soon.